Grace in Chaos.
Grace in Chaos. Grace in Chaos.
Grace in Chaos.
Grace in Chaos.
Grace in Chaos. Grace in Chaos.
Hello, hello. I'm Kailey.
I'm Katrina.
And this is Grace in Chaos.
Episode 15.
Woo! I can't believe you just said episode 15. That is like wild to have.
I was
it come out of your
convinced it
mouth.
was 14, honestly.
No.
Before I checked.
Yep. That is crazy. So if you're still with us, God bless you.
Seriously.
And God bless Texas. Just kidding.
That's hilarious. But why not?
Yeah. We are subliminally subliminal. Is that the word?
Yeah.
What am I? We're subliminal. I'm planting subliminals to get Katrina back to Texas. It's a drip campaign.
I mean, Levi randomly, I love my kids. He yesterday was like, where are we going? Like, we're moving. He just like brought it up. He's 3. And I was like, oh, and I love playing this game where I just like let their imagination flow. And I'm like, oh, like, where are we going? Like, is it going to be hot or cold? And he was like, cold. Okay. I was like, what color is the team? Like, that's the reason we're moving.
I didn't even think about that. Like, for your kids, it's not like, oh, what state? It's what team.
Yeah. The team means the state. So
yeah,
he goes, Texas. And I was like, okay.
I'm here for it.
Down. But
right
like,
back.
What color? Because like, are we going? Yeah. But in his mind, the
UNT
only
is
Texas team,
green.
Yeah.
A&M is actually, never mind.
He only knows Texas
We're
orange.
not going to A&M. I don't care if Henry gets $1 million contract. Just kidding. We'll take it. I'll put my differences aside.
Seriously, I know, especially with this profession, like, you never know. Like, you could be a part of one team and staff and like those rivalries, and then years later, who knows what happens, and all of a sudden you're on that flip side,
and you're like, oh.
I remember I used to hate us.
I am you now. Honestly, you're like, who's paying my bills?
Yeah,
I love them.
Professional bandwagoners.
Yes. That's awesome.
We know how to do it.
Yeah.
But how's your week going?
So
summer,
it's summer. It's been 2 weeks since we recorded because we didn't.
Yeah.
We didn't record last week. Weren't able to get an episode out, but it was for good reason. Like, there was a lot going on. It's been a lot in our house. Okay, let me give you in a matter of like 4 days. Let me go through my Spark Notes. It's if we were here and I told you everything, we'd be here for a year. Okay, so first day we have a fly infestation in our house, and now we're finding out that they're coming from the attic because there's like a certain type of fly that will go dormant and then it just comes through the vents, and so our house is full of flies.
Don't tell me that,
dude. No, it's bad, and it happens in hot climates
too.
So some is not what we're doing. We're killing 20 at a time, like vacuuming them out of the air. It's in the windows. It feels like, you know, when you're little, well, I don't know if you did this, but we would go to Mexico all the time growing up because we lived in Arizona, and it was right down, it was before you even needed passports. My mom got across the border with a Costco card once. Like, you need a driver's license. Her driver's license got stolen and all she had was her Costco card. And they were like, looks good to me. But we would go all the time, but we would go to meat markets and there would be flies everywhere. And I remember being so grossed out by it and being like, there's no way I'm eating this. Well, now my house is the meat market. They are all over the place. So that was the first thing that we realized, is that this is not an external issue. We were like, kids, close the doors. We need to even limit the amount the dogs are going out the doggy door. Like, it was a whole thing. Turns out it's in fact coming from inside the house. That was the first day. Then the next day we find out, I'm in the garage and I'm cleaning out the garage. Those said flies have started laying eggs. And we find maggots all in our garage. And I was like, no. Like, you just feel filthy. Like, you're like
100%. Flies in general do that. Because, in cartoons even, it's a trash can, flies are hovering. Or like in real life, obviously. But like, so that's just the association I have, which is why they And then maggots, we had
Yeah.
them in our trash can like
Yep.
for a period of time. It took forever to get rid of them. So
Oh,
I get it.
they were like behind it, and our HOA, we're not allowed to have our trash cans outside. You have to leave them in your garage, which I think is gross. If I put it behind the air conditioning system on the side of our
Yeah.
house, like get
That's what
over
we all do.
yourselves. Irregardless, I literally wanted to keel over and die in that moment. Then, the next day we had wasps. We had 4 wasps in our house, literally inside of our house, in the house. Mind it, my husband's allergic to everything that flies. Like, I'm like, oh God. And then the next day, bright and early at the good old hour of 2 a.m., my dog starts having seizures. And like, I didn't even get to tell you all of like the things that led up to it. So
Yeah.
I'm already exhausted from anything living outside of human beings in my house. And then the dog starts having seizures. Horrible. That was the most heartbreaking thing I've ever witnessed in my life. She has like 4 in a matter of 12 hours, which is really not good. Mind it, we rescued this dog a couple of months ago with the intention of finding her a good home. Like she's a miniature border collie. We have no capability of taking care of a miniature border collie. Like she needs land. She needs to run, but we also needed to get her weight healthy. We also she was super abused. Like, so we were just trying to do the right thing by loving on this dog, getting her healthy, and then getting her a new home. And then she starts having seizures and now needs to take medicine 3 times a day. Nobody's going to take a dog that needs to take medicine 3 times a day. I don't know what to do with the dog that needs to take medicine 3 times a day. I can't even go to the pool with my kids this summer. Because at 2:00, this dog, if she doesn't get her medication, is going to start having seizures again. So it's just this like, that was so emotionally draining. Like when I tell you, because then I'm also playing this like roulette in my head of the poor dog. She's already been abandoned once. She's been abused already. She's got issues. Like now she's got epilepsy. What? I'm sorry. I know it's not funny, but like
It's laugh or cry.
laugh at my pain. Yeah, laugh at my pain. And so if anyone's listening and you want to be a good-hearted human being and you have maybe an acre or just a heart that you want to run a dog, they do sell a medication that you only have to give twice a day. I just can't budget for it. Maybe you can. Or if you know of a really good rescue, because that's the thing is like, I don't want to take her to a shelter. Like that's to me, I'm like, I can just see it playing out where another girl shows up, sees her beautiful little face because she's the cutest and sweetest dog ever, takes this dog and doesn't realize what she's in for. And then it's this cycle of abandonment for this poor dog. And I'm so sentimental and I cry about everything. So if I'm going to give her to somebody or like, it has to go to like a border collie rescue or somebody that knows what they're doing. And so this is my cry for help. If you know of any resources and you're listening, help me. And I did find a couple of no-kill shelters. But again, my brain goes to like, oh my gosh, like they just want to home them with anybody. Like they just want to find them somewhere to go today. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I don't know enough, right? Like I don't know how you did some research, but like exactly like that association you have with many shelters or, places that you think you're doing like the right thing and maybe something bad happens to the dog or something.
Yeah. And God bless the vet. He's like, we're not going to do like gold standards. So we're not going to run a ton of tests. But either way, like she's a border collie. They're so smart because I guess they're the smartest breed of dog whatsoever. And they were like, she's so smart that she has so many neurons in her brain. And because of that, she's more likely to have seizures. It's more likely for them to be epileptic because they have so many neurons firing.
Our dog growing, one of them died at 3 and I can't remember exactly, but he must have had a seizure. But regardless, like kind of like, because I remember my dad saying he died in his arms, like in the middle of the night. But border collie. We had 2 border collies growing up and that one, like no sign and then just seizure. Overwhelm, I get, Yeah. And
dude, that was the scariest thing. Like when it started happening, I'm like, Lex freaked out because he's like, holy crap, he's trying to hold her. She was not holdable at that point. And then she was terrified after it. So then she was a little aggressive. Like, what did you just do? Because I was explaining this to my brother because he's an EMT firefighter. There's like this post epileptic like syndrome when you're after it, where you're just in a daze of like your body is coming down from it essentially, and you have like very primal instincts and just you're not even acting like a human at that point. But after that, you can look at a human and say like repeatedly, you just had a seizure, you just had a seizure, you just had a seizure, to get them to like conceptualize,
understand.
Holy crap. But what do you say to a dog? I'm like, oh no. And the fourth time it happened, it kept happening like in my room. She would be sleeping and then it would just happen. And the fourth time it happened, I just like put a little blankie under her head, and like Kalia was so freaked out and like, mommy, what's going on? And I was like, it's okay. I need you to get out. Like, cause this is obviously not for you. And then afterwards she was just looking at me like, what did you do? And I was like, I promise I'm trying to help you. So it was horrible. But then that was 3 days ago. And so we've been giving her the medication, because right now I'm home, but like what happens when I start traveling? So I'm just praying. Literally, I just like invite all the prayers, because I'm just like, God, I don't know what your solution is for this, but you care about all your creatures. Like you care about the birds in the sky and the lilies in the field. So you care about this freaking border collie. You brought her to my door for a reason. But then I'm also playing it in my head of like, I didn't pray before I said I would take this dog at all. Just my like heart was like, yeah, of course. Like bring her over. I've got her. And she was just dropped off and they left. Like, but I didn't pray about it. I'm like, God, is this punishment because I didn't ask permission? Then I'm like, no, because she would have been somewhere else going through this exact same thing. Like,
and he makes everything good. So even if it wasn't from him, you can now
give it
make
to
it
him.
right, or yes, and still pray on it and figure it out. And prayers for you too, because I know how heavy and stressful that can be, and just emotional, mentally. Wearing, physically as well, doing the medication, and just all
we found out ways that this dog takes medication. Like she literally is a fatty. You have to wrap it in salami, which I'm like, now that's expensive. Like, salami's not a cheap meat, dude. Like, but she really likes salami of all things. I tried it in cheese. I tried it like, but salami does it. And then I'm like, oh my God. It's just, and I can get over it. Like if I was home all the time, like, I'd be fine. I'd make it work. Yeah. You know, we'd figure it out. But I'm like, God.
No, it's just like where you're at in life. Like I can totally relate to you. Like I would not be able to take that on right now either. So
yeah.
It's
but then
hard.
I'm like, people are probably listening like, and you know what? If you are listening and thinking this, I'll wear it. I'm like, why did you take a dog that you knew you couldn't care for? Because I used to say this. Like I used to have the same thought. But I'm like, I didn't have intentions of keeping her. Like, anyways, sorry.
So we are not taking offense.
Anyways, how was your week?
It was good. Crazy. Clearly I have no voice.
Again.
So
this is a common theme.
You've picked up by now. It was just crazy busy. End of the school year. The girls had their first dance recital, which was the cutest thing, and I was so proud of them, because you just never know, like going on stage. They've never done anything like that, but they both no issues.
They
like,
killed it. I was so excited for them, and
it's fun to see. Like I'm one of those parents who wants my kids to try everything and then like see what they love, right? And what they enjoy doing. And so to see them light up on stage and all that, like to not look scared was like awesome.
You know what I was going to say is Mina, when I was watching the videos of her, like in Nova's age, they're all looking at the teacher. Like, because I remember that age of being in dance and being like, I don't know what I'm doing, and like not doing the right moves. But I was like, there's always one. When I was watching Nova's, I was like, there's always one that knows it. And like, which one is it? I mean, it wasn't Nova, no offense. Cute. But Mina was the one. She knew it. Like I was like,
and like would occasionally glance and stuff. Yes, like they all
but
do.
She
knew most of it, and I
even
was so smiled.
Yes.
Like, you know, because you know too, I mean, I know for myself, like learning dances, sometimes you're so focused, you're like not doing a facial. You're just like,
and you were in cheer, so you totally get this.
So seeing her smile too, I was like, well, she's doing it. She's doing it. And so that
so
was
proud
just
too.
so fun to watch. And then night 1, they were both in it, but because Nova's younger, she didn't have to perform twice. And so Mina did night 2, and then we got a babysitter for the rest of them, and Henry and I just got to go. So that was like special for us to hang out, special for Mina to just have mom and dad and let it be all about her, because with 4 kids and being one of the oldest, they just don't get that very often, that one-on-one time, or like times where it's like, hey, because oftentimes they'll have the moments where I'm saying, hey, this is not about you. I have to help Levi right now, right?
Yeah.
And now he's starting to even out, but when you have younger kids and older kids, oftentimes older ones are the ones you expect more of, and
they're
have
almost
more
helping you.
responsibility.
Yeah.
Yes. And so it was just really nice for all of us to just be us 3, and she did great. However, the dance studio announced that they're closing at the show. Literally at the show. They said,
Was it the very last show?
yes.
Please tell me they didn't do
Surprise.
it before. Oh.
No, they did at the end, and what was so heartbreaking. Well, one, everybody was in shock. I was like, is that what
Is
he's
this
saying?
a punk?
Like,
like
did I hear that right? Like, everyone's
why
kind of
not send an
looking at each other.
email later?
Seriously. And then, so something is posted on their website now, and we'll be fine. Like, obviously we have been enjoying it and we were excited to keep going, but luckily I dropped the seed to the girls that we would reevaluate what we're doing after the recital. So now we're just reevaluating going to a new studio. But I felt so bad for the older girls who had been there for like 12 years. They did not get a heads up. One of them was like celebrated as a senior, given flowers, and everyone's like, what are your plans after? And they're like, we're going to work at the dance studio. Little do they know, it's shutting down this week. I just felt, So it is what it is.
I would be offended.
It was definitely one of those things where I just felt for other people, because I would not want to handle something like that. It's like
it's
where
you're not trying to judge, but you're also like, oh God, there was so many better ways to do this.
Or like you said, I was hoping, like, if this is how you want to do it, then there better be an email stat to break down the clarity of what's going on, because closing down a business takes time. Like, you sell, like, he literally, like, everything is final.
Had to have sold,
like, the details
building,
they said, it's done. So, and like,
but even with that, like, why wouldn't you have told the girl, like the older girls at least, and like told mom and dad, like, hey, this is not public news, but we just want to be respectful. You've been here for 12 years. We are a family.
Because I felt for the parents who did have those kids that have been there, even if you've been there for a year or 2. Like, we've only been there since February, so I'm like, I'll be fine. Like, my girls will be fine.
We'll bounce back.
I'm not like invested yet, we liked it, but we'll find a new one. But I felt for the parents who are like, oh my gosh, I'm about to see my daughter in 2 minutes. She's gonna be crying. What am I gonna say? Because I probably have my own feelings, and now I have to comfort my daughter, who, like, we're all in shock. That's what I felt like.
And they didn't even like get to give them the
heads.
flowers before, like, the girls. I thought the girls were like off the stage. Parents had already seen the girls, and then they said it.
No,
but, like,
they announced it as like
the curtains
right
were closing
before the finale. Like, thank you all for coming. Okay, sorry. Okay, this one is funny.
Okay.
So at the end, and so we went to both of the shows. And night 1, like, the 3 main teachers did like a performance of Bye Bye Bye, like to NSYNC. Yeah. And so night 2, they announced studios closing, and then they did the NSYNC Bye Bye Bye. So luckily I knew it was like part of their thing, but it seemed so insensitive to those who like were like, seriously, that's how you're saying bye to us. All right, moving on.
Zero judgment, just comedy.
It is what it is,
Laugh or cry.
So, and
oh my gosh,
life is gonna life. People are gonna make their choices.
Mm-hmm. That is such a good segue.
So with that, we'll get into our topic. We are going to be talking about talking offense, talking about not taking offense or just taking offense, all the things, right? Like when you take offense to something and how we can work through that. And ultimately you want to be in a space where you don't take offense, right? But there are times we all find ourselves taking offense to things.
Or being offensive.
Yes. I did want to get into that. So,
the spirit of offense essentially is the entire topic. Because I would be rather offended if I was a parent. My daughter's been going to a studio for 12 years. I
think there were quite a few people feeling offended.
I don't want to say justifiably so because you're not supposed to,
but maybe we can break down if you're for some reason you were going to this dance studio, you feel this way. We can try to help you. Okay.
Yeah, here we are. We will be your free therapists, but please go seek alternate help as well.
And our coping mechanism is always to make things light. So
it's not that we don't take it seriously, because that really seriously does suck. Like we we empathize, but also like, wow.
Yeah, it was wild. So talking about this though, what is the first thing you think of when you think of like taking offense or?
I think of like my whole life. My whole life flashes before my eyes. I honestly think of losing control. So whenever I have felt offended, I can feel the downward spiral begin. I can feel, right now, you could even like saying it, I could feel the emotion in my chest. I feel it in my body, and I know when it has begun. And then it is literally a downward spiral. It just keeps going deeper, and then you lose more and more and more control. I think it starts small and ends big. That would be my way of kind of thinking about it. Is offense is a seed that then becomes a freaking oak tree. Yeah. And oak trees are pretty immovable.
Totally. So totally agree. And I also, like, the first thing I think of when I'm thinking like, if I get offended, it's because it strikes a chord with my ego or an insecurity that I have.
Yeah.
Like, it's when you are operating from your ego or even a place of insecurity, and that's at the forefront of receiving the information, and it strikes a chord within you. Like, this is me like really zooming out and breaking it down. It's not that I'm like consciously thinking this when I feel offended, because you're talking about the feeling of it, and I'm thinking of like, how do I take offense, right? Yeah. And I was like thinking about the topic, and I was like, why do I get offended? Why do people get offended? And it's because it's striking a chord with you that it hits something deep in you. Yeah. So it's whether it's something that you're not proud of and someone's calling you out on it, you're taking that personally, or maybe you're in denial almost. I mean, that's what I think about ego oftentimes, is like the puff chest. When you didn't realize like,
you're doing it.
No, you're wrong. I'm right. Like, that sort of thing. So
I also think offense can come from expectation. Like, there's an element of it where you've created an expectation that was never usually not agreed upon. Well, I can't say that, because sometimes offense can come from an expectation that was agreed upon that someone no longer is meeting. So then you get offended, or an expectation that you have of someone to behave a specific way. They don't meet it, or an expectation that you have it just all stems from expectations of others,
and then taking it personally.
Yes.
And again, it's these things that very rarely do we like break these things down, because when I take offense to something, these are not the things I'm thinking in the moment. I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, I'm so angry, or I'm so sad, or I'm so like, why would they do that?
Usually the question sort of for me is always like, why? Like, that's when I know I'm offended. I'm like, why would you think that that's okay?
Yes.
That's like the
But
first thing.
ultimately, it's just taking it personally, like a personal attack. Like you are receiving this as in this person is out to get you.
Yes.
Like that is what happens
That's
in
the
that
stem of it. Yeah.
brain and it hits you like all of a sudden. And then it's like, you know, you're not going to act right. Like that's what I think of too. Like when I'm offended,
You are not yourself.
no. And then if I don't take a minute and process and work through these things and I'm going to react back, it's not going to be good. Like,
And I honestly think, so just to over spiritualize this, so offense is the enemy's number one attack. His job is to cause division. He's the author of confusion, and his job is to divide people. And typically, it's let me divide Christians against themselves. And that is the number one attack, is let me have there be so much division with these people that they no longer are focusing on love of me and love of each other and like chasing after Christ. They're now focused on their hatred for each other. And so I always remember, I'm like, okay, if I am offended, this is an attack. That is my first thought. Like there is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Where there is offense, there is the enemy. And where there is an enemy, there is an attack. And that is just point blank. That is one of those things that, you know, when people are like, not everything's spiritual. I do agree. Not everything is. Sometimes instead of praying for deliverance, you need to have discipline. Sometimes instead, like there's an element of that where it's like, nope. I used to think that the enemy was attacking me with my weight. I'd be like, no, stupid. Eat healthy. Like, go on a walk. You know what I mean? Like I was really under that belief for a long time where I'd be like, God, how do I word this? So not everything is the big demon hiding behind a bush. Let's just say that.
yeah. And there's, I think when you talk about spiritual warfare, because I find myself, I'll do this too. And there's an element sometimes when you talk about the enemy's attacks that does help you process things. However, it's not a scapegoat.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, it's just that like, don't take any responsibility for your piece in the pie, or, you know, like it's
I was just
warfare
offended, so it's the
devil.
yeah. I was just offended, so that was the enemy. No, there's a responsibility to now, you know, the attack of the enemy. Now you have to fight against it. And so that's the one that I will always say. I will stand 10 toes down. Where there is offense, the devil is there. And division is being sown. And there's no questions about it. But I always also, when it comes to offense, I always remember like intention versus impact. Was this the person's intention? And intention is really important, but also nobody knows your intentions. Like that's one of those things that you have to remember on both sides. Okay, was this person intentionally hurting me? No. Doesn't mean it didn't hurt me. But then if you're the one hurting people, it's like, okay, this wasn't my intention. No, but what was the impact? That's just there's account where you think like the term or the phrase intention versus impact, there's accountability on both sides. Does that make sense? And so with offense, that's I always just try to remember where there is division, there is the devil. That's just black and white. And then I'm like, all right, God, I need you to intervene. And I usually will have to literally put my hands up and step back and not engage. Because if you leave me to my own devices, that is really bad. Because I will come up out my Christian. You won't see a holy roller anymore, like at all. When I'm offended, and I'm still in the situation and I don't have consciousness and have the Lord like telling me to shut up, which he very clearly will be like, shut up. Sometimes through my husband, actually, he'll be like, put the phone down, put it down. And I'm like, no, I'm fine. He's like, you are not fine. I'm like, all right, you're right. And I put the phone down and remove myself. And then once you come back to it, you can totally see the attack. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, totally. And that's the nice thing about having like supportive people around you, like your husband or a friend, because even like I'll get a work email of like they want me to redo a piece of content and I'm like, do you know how much time I put into this? And I had to wrangle up my girls and we had to do 3 different outfits and now you're telling me to edit it, where it's like, that's their right. Like, I'm working for them.
Do you know how entitled we are sometimes?
Oh, for
reading
sure.
those emails, I'm like, how dare you? And then it's like, oh shoot, I'm so entitled.
And I knew, like, and when I get that, I know for a fact. And so, like, I will always, like, if I want to get that email done, I'll screenshot it, send it to Henry, and be like, is this okay? Because I also believe, like, in those situations, like, you need to stand up for yourself, but you can do it kindly. Like,
you can advocate for yourself with respect and grace and love.
And you can always get your point across in a kind, graceful way. Yes. So I was just like, I want you to understand that this took a lot of time and effort. And if expectations were clearer in the beginning, like, I'm somebody who's like, you tell me what to do, I'll do it exactly. Yes. But if I'm left I felt like my creative freedom, and now you don't like it, that kind of, anyways, that's very specific. But it's like one of those things where I definitely like read that late at night. I was tired. I was like, cried, because I was just like, it was one of those days, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like, why'd I even open my email at 11 o'clock at night?
That is so wild. No, and it's so funny, because that's even, I think that like the enemy is so cunning, not to give him respect, but like so cunning with how he's going to go about his attacks. Like, he's just mischievous. You think about like the crappiest, no, I don't want to say crappiest little kid, but the most just like mischievous little craphead little child that just is looking for ways to make their parents mad or looking for ways to cause destruction. I just think about like the mischievous child in TV when I used to watch, like, and you'd be like, why would you think to do that? But like a million times worse, because it's the enemy. So he's just, check your email, Katrina. Totally. You're busy, Katrina. I know you're tired right now, Katrina. Open the email. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm over spiritualizing it, but
yeah, I mean, I think in that case it was him being like, just do one more thing. Just do one more thing. Don't go to sleep. Just do one. That's my kryptonite probably from him.
Get off your email at 11 o'clock at night. Clock off.
One more thing.
I could just squeeze it in.
But I also think this topic is such a, it combines or builds off of everything we talked about with forgiveness. And everybody's going through something. Yeah. Right? Because that's when I also think of times I get offended. It's, you know, I try my best to always give people benefit of the doubt. So for the most really part, I'm not thinking this person meant to say something that made me upset or meant to do something mean. And so I always think, okay, they must be going through something. If this, like, you know, it's like, when you squeeze a lemon, what comes out? Lemon juice, and orange juice. So if they have any anger or frustration, or they're working through things in their life, that's going to ooze out of what they say. Yeah. And so it's like, I can't take that personally, because it's like that thing of, your opinion of me is none of my business or something. Yeah. You know, when it comes to that context, obviously there's so many ways to get offended. Yeah. But when you think about something that you take personally, typically it's because you're taking it in as this is what they think of you, or if it's even like a belief, like, oh, they disagree with me, so then now they must judge everything I do or say. Is how we that's the most receive one it. Yeah. And so it's just one of those things that when I do take that step back, I just think like, okay, assume positive intent, because oftentimes, like, I just want to believe that people are not malicious and evil. Yeah. And especially when it's like, I try to surround myself with people who are good. I'm not in many situations. Now, obviously, you could still go to a grocery store. Like, I mean, I got offended waiting for a Sam's Club pickup order for 25 minutes, you know? I was like, this is taking way too long, you know? And I felt myself being like, I was watching, it's when you see other people get their
pull
grocery
up after
before,
you, and you're like, wait, what?
These people are out to get me. No, I didn't think that. But like when you look back,
you like go into it and you're like, this is silly.
Yeah. And I remember just feeling so frustrated. And it was like, when I looked, that it was one person working. She was busting her butt off, running back and forth, doing her best. I don't know what the inside of that store looks like. I bet my order was just the fifth in line. Like maybe it was just all of us came through the phone. I don't know how that stuff all works, but it's just like that's those things where it's like everybody is trying their, I would hope, right? You want to give the benefit of the doubt. Everyone's trying their best, and they really are in their capacity and what they're dealing with at that time. So
their
it's like
best might just be what they're doing today.
Yeah, and then we got to do our best too, and keep that peace and grace within ourselves, because ultimately that's how, like, when I take offense to things, I don't want to feel that way. Like it's icky.
You can feel it brewing. Yeah.
And you said you feel it in your chest. Sometimes it's like a pit in your stomach. Sometimes you feel that lump in your throat when it's just like.
That was kind of something I was going to say, is that now how to identify what even, because sometimes people are like, offense, even that can be like an over spiritualized term. Like people sometimes someone listening might be like, what do you mean, oh, I'm feeling offense? It's just feeling frustrated, annoyed, and feeling like someone's out to get you. Like that is the that is the sum of it. And so I don't remember, I think I was listening to Tim Ross and Preston Morrison, and they both
love them.
Yes, gosh, they're the
gems.
Greatest.
Every time I scroll, I'm like, oh, what do they have to say?
Yes.
I should probably
listen to their full podcast. So, oh my gosh, Alexis and I were just talking about this. Sidebar. Alexis was just talking about this. I was scrolling and literally went through like 5 different shorts of people's podcasts. I was like, ooh, so good. Like. And he looked at me and was like, oh my gosh, we need to post shorts, because have you watched any of their full podcasts? I was like 2 of them. He's like, you just liked 5 different pages. I was like, I have never seen a full podcast of Girls Gone Bible, but do I like all their stuff? Yep. All the time. And he's like, are you kidding me? And I was like, no. He's like, post freaking shorts. I was like, oh yeah, I'll get to it. It's on the list. We're getting to it. We are building up slowly but surely. All right. Can we're missing episodes in our first season. We're fine. Anywho,
we're doing our best. All right.
Yeah, I need a pat on my back and not condemnation. Okay. He's not condemning me. Let's just make that obviously clear. No, I think that when I was watching one of their episodes, I actually do watch their full episodes, by the way. And they were talking about like identifying where you feel offense, identifying where in your body, because your body will speak to you. God perfectly designed us that there are going to be flashing red lights. We have a dashboard just like in Inside Out, where they have like the flashing dashboard. We have dashboards and they will flash. You'll feel it in your body, and those have to be your warning lights. God designed us so perfectly. So for me, I start to feel it right in the middle of my chest. And I like can feel the way that I breathe. I can feel the way that my lungs expand. I can feel the way it starts creeping up into my throat, just like you said, but I feel it right in the middle of my chest, and then it starts creeping up. And that's literally every single time I have ever been offended. It's the exact same feeling. And that is the way the Lord designed me. I just have to be conscious enough and pray every day, God, have me be conscious and aware of when you are showing me what you're showing me. I have to be on guard. That's just how it is. The scripture says, be on guard, stay vigilant to know the enemy's attacks. And so I know, and I have the awareness in my body of where I'm going to feel offense. And then I know what to do with it and say, Lord, help me, because I am about to pop off. Like,
that's
God
so
help
good.
me.
No, it's true, because your body too, it's like, it feels like it's forcing you to say something or do something in that moment, because you get in that fight or flight, like all these things we're talking about, how like you feel in your chest, or like you feel your heart racing, like it's putting you in this survival mode. And then you're about to operate in a way that is not graceful, because when you're fighting for your life, like when you're in survival mode, even if it's through words, like it creates this, like, I need to fight for my life. I need to get my point across. Like my point is more important than understanding what they're even saying.
Yeah. It just like dawned on me. Could be completely wrong. I feel like we are fight or flight. Yes, I do agree. Like you go into the reptilian mode in your mind because that's how God created us. We used to be hunter gatherers and you have to fight and you'd have to run from the saber-tooth tiger and all of this. However, I think that there's an element. Yes, we were designed like that. But when you surrender your life to Jesus, he becomes your protector and your provider. And so I feel like maybe when you get saved, you are no longer supposed to respond like that, which you aren't, okay? But I also think that maybe we're just so used to responding that way because we've done it our entire life that now it's become a habit. There's an element of it that is physiological, but I also think that once you surrender and give your life to Jesus, then that habit is no longer physiological. Now it's habitual. Do you follow?
No, totally. Like, and I'm not saying, because at the end of the day, we all have choices. Like you're
Everybody
saying,
got choices.
get in tune with yourself so that you understand when you're starting to take offense because your body does signal to you. Those are those little warning lights. Like, hey, you are feeling some sort of way. Be aware of that before you speak. Like, I think that's a gift. You can totally look at it that way versus a system that just all of a sudden you're going to react. Like, no.
Yes, I think it almost becomes an excuse. People use what was physiological, which is being triggered and so overused. I do believe that there are real triggers in this world. I do believe that people have internal strifes and things they struggle with, but everybody talks about, I was so triggered when I did that. I was triggered, so I did XYZ. And it's like, no. Are you saved? Yes. Did you accept the Lord Jesus Christ in your heart and surrender your life? Yes. Is the Holy Spirit dwelling in you? Yes. Then your trigger is no longer an excuse. It's no longer okay. You are using it to justify poor behavior. And so I think I could be sympathetic also, but I'm not accepting the excuse if the Holy Spirit is dwelling in you is no longer acceptable.
Yes, and being triggered is a warning light. Like it's signaling to you it struck a chord within you that either struck an insecurity or something prideful that's still living within you. And I am just thinking to myself, as you're saying, like knowing your body better and those sorts of things, when you understand yourself better, then you're able to know why you took offense quicker, right? Yeah. When you're not honest with yourself and you're putting on the front, that's the ego, or you have insecurities about yourself, but you shove those down.
Really deep, yeah.
Really deep. Someone says something to you that strikes that chord, it's going to make you really, really sad. But if you've never been honest with yourself about that,
or
then
honest
you don't
with Christ.
Yes.
Sorry, I was going to jump in. I just got
of
totally
course.
cut you off.
Then you're going to react because that's the defense mechanism.
Yes.
But if you understand yourself and know your strengths, your weaknesses, your gifts, your strongholds, then you'll see it for what it is. Where if I was like go, go, go mode and Henry was like, you need to slow down. And there's two reactions I could have. I could be like, no, I'm fine. Like, why are you trying to tell me what to do? Or I could actually own the fact that I know I am somebody that gets in the mode of go, go, go. That is something that I am actively working on, I'm aware of, and I can say, you know what, you're right. Thanks. Yeah. Like, and all those situations are different, but I just think when you're aware of yourself, and these aren't cop-outs. It's not like, oh, that's a weakness of mine, so who cares? It's like, no, I want to know the things that I need to work on in life and the strongholds that I want to break because I want to be better, and I don't want those things to then cause me to be offended because that's only going to perpetuate whatever I'm going through.
Yeah. And it's honestly, even talking about offense, I feel, and this is where just like the discernment of spirits, I can feel that somebody could listen to this episode whenever and say and be so offended by us saying like a trigger is not an excuse. And even in that, we can't validate it because God redeemed it already. God already redeemed that. And so I want to speak to the girl who has been abused and has been hurt and does have triggers. And I hear you, and I have been there with you. I like, triggers are so real and so they are there. We don't want to devalue the fact that they're real, but I will tell you from a space that like the day that I finally surrendered my real pain to Jesus and said, God, I know that this is dirty and I know that this was gross. And I think about like the woman at the well again. She's just like, she's got so much to her. Jesus tells her like, oh, talking about her husbands, she had 5 husbands. And the one that she was sleeping with in that moment wasn't even really her husband. And she kept that a secret from him. And while Jesus is speaking to her, he's like, I know about them all. You've kept them a secret from me. And the one you're living with right now isn't even your husband. And you tried not to tell me and you were trying to keep it a secret. We all have that thing. We all have that trigger. We all have that secret that we just have not yet surrendered. There's something in me, even right now, that I'm not aware. Like when I feel offense, it is because it usually triggered whatever that is that I have not yet surrendered. And like the other night, I was so annoyed and offended about something. And I looked at my husband and was like, I don't know why I'm so offended by this. I am searching my heart right now and I can't figure it out. And he was like, you need to go to the word and you need to go to prayer because he'll tell you. Like he will tell you and the Lord will let you know. But I am speaking to the girl that is hurt. And when you're hearing us say that your triggers are no longer an excuse, it's because it will give you freedom. There is hurt that will still come up. I still have times where I looked at Lex and I was like, we need to go to a sex therapist because it's not you, it's me. I'm getting triggered about nothing these days. And there is an element that you'll still need help. Like there are still human resources that can provide you services and help. But the core of it comes down to like continuing to surrender your triggers. Every time you feel a new one come up, it's like you have to surrender them because where there are triggers, there's going to be offense. And so I just, in my brain, sorry, I felt so like, I was like, oh gosh, I can feel it where there's somebody that has been so hurt that they're like, what do you mean? Like, this is physiological. I have real trauma. I have PTSD. I have flashbacks. Trust me, I have had it all. I have had it all. Me and my husband, when we first got together, there were seasons when I literally could not be touched. Like a touch on the shoulder would sometimes send me over the freaking edge where it was, I went through it. And so I just know that God can redeem it. So,
that's great clarification because language is so important. Yeah. I'm throwing around these words, ego and insecurity, and my word association with those words are they don't trigger me. Yeah. And when you explain all that to me in my mind, like that's an insecurity.
No,
issue.
For sure.
Like,
I agree.
And so I'm like, I think that's really good that you just explained that because I'm talking in a very general sense, but it doesn't mean that there's not like so
validity
much within all those things that we all deal with and that we're all working through. And that is, I think why I keep saying like to understand yourself, like is so important because like you were saying, you got offended the other day and you had no idea why. And of course, go to the word and God will tell you and all those things. But we should want to understand why so that we can surrender or what. Yeah. It doesn't have to be why. It could be any of those answers to just have a little more clarity on what the real, because like so much of us wants to not deal with the hard, the things that get under our skin or the things that are like that we have to work through. Like how many of us just want to focus on our strengths and just be like, wow, God gave me this talent. God gave me this gift. And this is who I am. Yeah. But what if one of your weaknesses that you would think is your weakness is actually your strength and you just haven't given it to him yet. So you don't know. Literally
I just
yesterday.
got full body goosebumps when you just said that, because oh my gosh,
Yesterday.
that is so profound.
There's more.
No, I'm not going in. Like, keep going. I'm just like, I have full body goosebumps. I have to validate. Like, that is incredible. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, it's us together because you helped me get to that point. But so thank you. No, yesterday at church, we were talking about identity in Christ. You know, I love identity in Christ.
OG topic.
It's my favorite. But it was like so complimentary to the thoughts that I already had to this topic, because it is just talking about who you are and because of God. And also, we have to find who, like, when you were born, God said, Kailey will be born and she is going to be this and that and this. And I knew that, but I thought to myself in church, I'm always humanly trying to answer that question and tell God what my strengths are and think I know the answer. And yesterday was one of the first times I really took the step back and was like, I wonder who I'm supposed to be. I wonder who God, what did he say when I was born? Yeah. Am I even unaware because I've only been focusing on
what you're good at,
on what I'm good at? It was just this epiphany to me that
is so good. Oh,
what if my whole calling is within my weaknesses? Or
no, it's not what if, it is.
Yeah.
That is like the whole, it is, your weaknesses are your calling. Like, I had to say this to my mom the other day. Oh my God, it makes me emotional. Don't cry, Kailey. All right.
Why not?
No, laugh or cry. Haha. No, I'm having this conversation with my mom, and she's, again, like I've said, she's going through therapy, struggling. And she's like, I don't know that I can do this. This is so hard. And I was like, and she was talking about God and just like not doubting, but just frustrated. And I was like, God did not bring you this far to bring you this far. You went through everything you went through so you can go help deliver and set free people. That is why you go through what you go through. Where your hardship is where your ministry is. That is how God works. Like, he didn't have, it took me so long to be able to go back and see, like, I was hurt. Like, okay, we're just going to go there. I was this good. I don't even know if I've talked about this on the podcast before, but like, I was waiting for marriage. I was an angel child. Hadn't even, like, I barely kissed a boy. And I wore a purity ring, would all my friends would be little hoochie mamas. And I was like, not me. Couldn't be me. Mind it, I was so blessed that my older brother, we were best friends in school, and there was no way anybody was touching me, like, at all. And such a good girl. And then I was raped, and it was horrible. And I remember afterwards being so angry at God. I remember being like, how the hell could you let this happen to me when I had done everything, when my house was in shambles, when my family was horrible, when my life was terrible? How could you let me, of all people, go through this? I have preached the word to my friends. I have led friends to Christ. I have gone to Bible camp. I've gone to youth group. I have hung out with the bad kids and still been a good kid. How could you let this happen? How could you do this to me? And it took me until I got older to realize that I remember ministering to people and having conversations with friends that had been through the same thing and telling them, like, God didn't abandon you. People are broken. People are bad. God was standing right there, and he was weeping with you, and he never left you, never forsake you. Like, he did not leave you. There is such wickedness in the world, and unfortunately that was that. But guess what? That is now the testimony, and you are going to use that to help deliver people from the bondage. And so I go through every one of my hardships, and I'm like, God, just like, can we fast forward to when you're going to use this for your glory? Like, can we fast forward to when this is going to be the moment that you help use this for someone else? You don't go through your pain to just go through your pain. You go through your pain, and it can deliver intimacy with Christ. And then he's like, you've done it, kiddo. I love you. Go help people. Go help people. That is the mission. Sorry. No. Go ahead.
I'm proud of you for sharing that. I think that was important.
Yeah,
And I know
it's
that's
just
hard. But when you come to that point of surrender and release and let God do what he wants, it is this heaviness that is released from you and no longer shame. Because not to put words in your mouth, but I know you well enough and I know what you just said and all those things. I can imagine the feelings towards yourself that you had after wanting to be pure, wanting and just feeling dirty. And I'm not calling you that at all.
No, because it's no.
I'm
you
just
hit
saying
the nail on the head.
internal feeling of, I could list a bunch, but it's just so heartbreaking to hear that now. But you do get to be that person for somebody else that shows that does not define you. And even the term weakness, when we're saying it right now, it's simply a stronghold. And strongholds are lies that the enemy is telling you and you are believing. They are not who you are. They are not what God speaks over you, and they are not defining you at all. They are strongholds, and not to give him credit, but the enemy is using that to keep us from living our purpose in God's kingdom.
Yeah.
And so when terrible things happen to us, like, we have to invite God into them because he can make it good. And I'm not saying that situation was good at all. It was evil and bad. But there will come a day where you will feel okay. You know, you could say it and not cry because you know it's part of your testimony and your story, and you can help somebody else, and you do feel full deliverance from that.
Well, I think even the word deliverance, like, you got to think about that. Like, we want to be free. Deliverance itself is like getting out of the cage. I am getting like free of it. And like, we all want deliverance from this and deliverance from that. And it's like, that means you have to surrender and let God take it. Like, you have to give something for it to be delivered. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah, and it is a defense mechanism to live in denial or to minimize or bury and just pretend it didn't happen and keep trucking along. But all of those strongholds affect your day to day, like whether you realize it or not, or maybe
anger,
not day to day,
bitterness,
but like it could still affect years later in an intimate relationship.
Affect you day to day.
I mean,
I think it does keep you away. Like you said, it keeps you away from the person God's called you to be. And like, you're just not her or him. You aren't that person yet, because on a day-to-day basis, you're operating for safety. You're operating. I remember after it happened, because you're right, it was all, I felt so dirty because I didn't know this, but a lot of people after they're abused, they just go wild. They go wild. And that,
because you're trying to take the control back.
Yeah. And I think that there was an element of it that I was like, well, it's already gone. Who cares? And God hates me, clearly, because he let this happen to me. And I was living a godless life. Like, dirty and just horrible. And I remember, like, I look back at it now and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, poor girl, because like, I wouldn't even recognize that person. And I know there's people who are like, yeah, but did you? The answer is yeah, it was bad. And I did walk around with so much shame from it and so much garbage because of it. And I walked around offended at everybody. I walked around. That was when I got into the most fights with people. That's when I was living on edge, just ready to blow on anybody, just angry, ready to just snap. Cause I was just, someone would say anything to me. You could tell me, I don't like the same color, and you'd be like, you're stupid, because I was just offended. It was like an exposed nerve on a tooth, just ready to, at any moment, just buzz, everything. And it was all offense, and it stemmed from pain. It all stemmed from just this like deep wound that I refused to acknowledge, and I refused to give it to God because I was so mad at him. And you surrender it. Hell no, I didn't even think I liked God. Like, actually, I was like, I don't want anything to do with him. And it just stemmed to so much other things. But the day I finally was just like that was what led to so many suicide attempts, so much pain and so much hardship. And it all stemmed from the enemy. If you don't get a hold of it, and you don't get a hold of whatever the pain is in you that's causing you to be so offended with everything all the time, if you don't grasp it, it will snowball and it will ruin your life. The enemy's attack is to kill you. Like, let's not get it twisted. He comes to kill, steal, and destroy. He is trying to destroy your life. And if you don't get a hold of wherever the pain is and you don't find it and surrender it, he is going to continue that attack and that wage of war on your life. Like, he will try to kill you. And I know that feels, you're like, what the hell? Like, that is wild. But that is his attack. It will lead to self-destruction. It will lead to more pain, more divisions, loneliness, fear, insecurity, doubt, unbelief, rebellion. It will lead to all of it if you don't find and search your heart for whatever it is that is causing the offense, the bitterness. You have to surrender it. You have to. There is no other way around it.
Yes, I feel like that's such a heavy topic.
No, I
mean, it's the truth. It's real life. This is not.
It's not a joke.
No, that's where, I mean, when we talk about these topics, especially when you open up, I'll find myself getting nervous on, I don't want to say the wrong thing or those sorts of things, but I am grateful that we have such a strong foundation of friendship and love and care.
Yeah. There is a peace that you bring to it all that I don't think I'd be able to share. And I could share with you, obviously, you know this is not all new information to you, but this is heavy. And there is an element of just peace that you'll bring of your spirit. So don't devalue that.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that, because sometimes I'm like, oh gosh, how do I
follow this?
How do I follow? What do I say?
No,
of course,
and there's nothing that you could
just,
say that's wrong necessarily, because the spirit is working.
With all of this, though, to kind of zoom out and part of me was thinking, like, we're talking about getting to know yourself, or like understanding yourself more so, like in this circumstance, and even you kind of telling this short bit of the after effects of how you would act and how you would be. Even though you knew that happened to you, I'm sure, didn't connect the two, right? Like, It's not normal to realize, unless you do the work, why you act the way you act, or why you were saying, like, you would just blow up on people, or you were looking because it was like you were just so angry.
My mom literally said she's not still to say, before she knew, I remember her yelling at me, "What happened to you? Why are you like this now?" And now that she knows, she's like, "Oh my God, I know exactly when it happened, because you flipped. It was like a light switch." And she's like, "I should have known." And even as my mom looking at it from the outside, I remember, like, still to this day, she's like, "I should have known." But yes, it's you can't see it. Like, you can't if you don't know it.
But I think that's where our triggers and our things, when we are acting out, it does take a moment for us to ask ourselves or ask God, if we're so lost and confused, what are you showing me right now? Because everything we do is a opportunity to understand and learn and grow and do all those things. But how do you go from being angry and letting that be your vice on how you respond to everybody, to calm and peace and healing and all those things? And obviously, number one is God. First and foremost, you have to surrender and give it to him. But there's this period where it made me think of, is it Trevor Moawad? Was he the negative thinking to positive thinking?
That's a good
guy.
question.
Either way, there was this. He was a high performance like athlete coach. So he would, or like mental coach. So he would help like
Limitless Minds. Yeah, Trevor Moawad.
yes, Trevor Moawad. He would coach like Russell Wilson.
It Takes What It Takes is the book he
Yes.
wrote. Oh,
Really good stuff. And one of his philosophies is neutral thinking. And so you go from, if you're somebody who struggles with negative voices in your head, or the enemy's overwhelming, or you're constantly self-deprecating yourself, making yourself feel less than, picking yourself apart, we obviously got to get to the confidence and loving ourselves and all those sorts of things.
good.
But his thing is, it's called neutral thinking. And it's like when you take a car from park to drive, you got to go through neutral. And so it's not about just swinging back and like finding, how do I get happy? How do I get joy? How do I get peace? How do I do these things? You first have to go through neutral. And part of that neutral is that acknowledgement and surrender to God and saying, God, like,
so
I
good.
don't know what to do right now. And I want to give it to you. Maybe I don't even know how to give it to you. I don't know what's next or all those things. But it's just coming to a piece of, and I don't like the word acceptance, because to me, words, my word
matter.
association with acceptance is like you're
Giving up.
accepting it. And it's like, no, we are not accepting this, but we are being honest about it. And we are acknowledging it. And
Yep.
there's a piece of stripping the feelings out of it and looking at the facts and understanding that, because we are so intertwined with our feelings and our thoughts that oftentimes we can't tell the difference.
Yep.
And so when you're in that space, everything makes sense. Like your anger made sense to you, which is why you acted that way. And that's why when we get offended, that survival
You can
instinct,
justify
it makes
why
sense.
you're offended. Yes.
But it doesn't mean it's right when you zoom out and you, because it's so much easier to see somebody else's life and be like, oh my gosh, she got so offended right there. She's just mad at the world. But that woman doesn't know she's mad at the world or really understand why she's acting that way, or all those sorts of things. So it's like coming to that point of neutrality and teetering acceptance, but it's acceptance for the moment, accepting what it is right now, but knowing that's not the end.
What it is.
Yes.
Like that's, my grandma used to always say that. Kailey, it is what it is. It just is.
We can't change it.
It just is. And that doesn't mean roll over and cower. It means, what can I do right now? How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. I can't change it all right now. I can't make all the pain go away. But what decision can I make today to just be okay, to survive? Like, that's, yes. So I love all of his books, and rest in peace. He's the greatest man ever. No, Jesus was, but he was so good.
No, I think that was a really powerful thing that he brought to this world, and what a legacy to leave behind. I mean, he had so much more than just neutral thinking, but that alone, because, you hear so much about like, negative thoughts and positive thoughts, negative thoughts, positive thoughts. And when you're in a negative space, it's hard to be positive. Like, some people are better than others, but when you're really struggling, you don't get it. And those happy people make you mad. So it's like,
it's so interesting. My friend, she lost her husband, and she had 2 kids with him. No, 1 kid with him. No, she had 2 babies with him. And she says that philosophy is what saved her and her family's lives. As she said, I had to be neutral. I couldn't crumble in front of my kids 24/7, but I also couldn't act like it was just, oh, it's gonna be great, we're gonna be fine, your dad's dead. Like,
that's the toxic positivity. Yeah,
you can't. And so she said, and she literally, like, verbatim held up the book, and she was like, this saved our lives. I had to be neutral. I had to say, what's next? Okay, I've got to get a job. Okay, I've got to get my kids. I got to figure out what we're gonna do with the kids, because I don't have childcare. Okay, it's the, okay, I don't need to be healed today. but we need to survive today. And I completely agree, is people sometimes think that the switch, once you're saved, because let's be very real, it took me years. And I'm not saying that like, oh, you can't get healed in an instant. My husband had a Saul to Paul transformation. My husband was, Katrina witnessed it. It was like,
honestly, I love you. I want to see you, but like, I want to see him.
no, you do you listen to his podcast? I actually started listening to it and was like, oh my gosh, this is great. I haven't told him I listened to it. He still doesn't think I listened to it. And he actually made a joke the other day and was like, you don't listen to it. And I was like, okay. I hope he can't hear me right now. He's in the office. Oh shoot, he's gonna listen to this. He listens to mine. Anyways,
edit it out. Just kidding.
No, my husband had the Saul to Paul transformation where it was like less than 90 days. He was a completely different human being. Like I would give it 35 max of just like being in his word every single day, all day. Like he was not doing well even at his job because he was just like in his word 24/7 and just like completely changed. But that wasn't my story. My story wasn't that. And maybe your story will be, whoever's listening and you're like, I want to change. I want to be different. I want to have joy that doesn't make sense. I want to just have people look at me and say, what changed? Why? Like you used to pick fights with everybody. You used to be offended with the world. You used to be like, I think about like I would literally like Katrina's presence. I would see her on Instagram at some points and be like, ugh, she's gorgeous and she's this, and her presence offended me before. Not even presence, but like just like existence would offend me. And I'd be like, she's got a perfect man. She's now having a baby, just graduated. Now she's having a kid and she's got a beautiful family. Her husband coaches football and oh my gosh. And they've got the dog and they're in plaid pajamas announcing their pregnancy. Who the heck?
So annoying. It's okay. Sometimes I annoy myself. It's all good.
No, but I was offended. Like, and it's small offenses where you're just rolling your eyes and just being like, ugh, whatever. That's offense. You were offended with someone else's joy and it annoys you.
We'll take that on the flip side, right? Because that is so true. And then on the flip side, like you could tell me that and I could take offense. Like, why is she hating on me? Like,
yep.
I just like, I'm not doing anything wrong. Like, this is just what I like to do. But instead, I'm looking at it as like, I like, you're right. Like, cause I in that instance, like I don't care if someone were to judge me for that, because I do like to do that. And that I'm okay with that. So it is true. And if you don't like it, then like, you don't like it, but that's not like, I don't need to take offense to that. Yeah. Because that's part of me I'm good with. Yeah. And that's where I think also, again, understanding yourself, understanding your strengths, your weaknesses, gifts, strongholds, talents, who you want to be, what your calling is, you can stand on that confidently and gracefully and peacefully, and people can attack you and you can let that roll off your back. We're allowed to do that.
Of yourself.
Yes.
That's when you know you're really firmly rooted. You've always been like that, where you're like, I am what I am. You can judge it, but this is who I am. And that's been something that for you, I just think your parents did a phenomenal job raising you. And there's just a sense of you're rooted. You know who you are as a human. But I think of me, I was not like that ever. This is new to me in the last 4 or 5 years of like, no, I am who I am. I just got into a disagreement with somebody that has known me my entire life. And I like said something and like held accountable to something biblically. And I was like, no, like I'm gonna stand on business about this. And I had to actually, at the end of it, I was like, I may have said that a little harsher than I realized. And I'm so sorry. Like I can walk it back a little bit. Sorry, I love you. But I was like, I'm confident in who I am as a woman of Christ. Like you can't take that from me. I know who I am. And you can judge me and you can dislike me and you can come at me and you can say whatever you want about me. It won't offend me because I know who I am in that area. Now, am I like that in every other area? No. If someone came at my coaching and like my job, I'd be like, wait, what? Like, and I'm way better than I used to be. There are like some things where I'm like, But those are the areas I'm not as secure in. Like there's certain positions that I'm like, I'm not a great coach in that position. That's why you hire someone else to do that and not me. But like if you forced me to do it, I'd be like, yeah, not sure I'm so confident about it. But like even in that, I'm growing more rooted in knowing what I'm good at and what I'm not good at, and I don't have to fake it.
And that's okay.
Yes, like I
Because
don't
that's
have
the
to. I'm not phony.
It is what it is.
Yeah,
It doesn't mean
that's the neutral.
finite, but it like it is what it is as of today. And as we grow, like, you know, of course, like I want to get better in my, or I want to honestly not have strongholds. Like I don't want to buy into the lies. And it's interesting because I appreciate you complimenting me saying I've always been like that, but like I don't think I've always been like that.
Really?
Yeah. No. So like yes and no. You know, two things can be true at once. And like I have always had a light, and like there's certain things like the way I am today has always been there. So it's not like I was a different person. Yeah. But I am the cry when nobody's watching. Like,
you know, I guess,
you know, I was like, come on. I used to be like, I can say this now when you were joking about being annoyed or like seeing my life. I can say that now because that has been something I've worked on my entire life. I used to care so deeply what people thought about me and take it to heart and be offended by it. But my offense was always sadness. It literally hurt my feelings when people would say anything negative about me, whether it was true or not, or not even in that instance.
You just want them to know the truth about you.
Yeah. Or like, why is that a bad thing? You know, where now it's like, I don't, it is what it is. Like I have my truth, and I'm learning to own my gifts and my talents and honor those and give those to God too, you know, let him use my gifts and talents. And with the strongholds and my weaknesses, I'm also giving to him and being like, God, help me through this. Show me how I can get better. Show me the truth in this and not the lies that I am believing about myself. And so that is something that is ongoing, because we talked a lot about taking offense, but I, for a lot of my life, would keep my mouth shut because I was so scared to offend other people. So I was the shy, quiet, smile.
You would have like never been friends. You would have been like, this girl's a monster.
I know, it is so funny that we met. And I think about that too. Like one of my dearest friends in Las Cruces, super outgoing, fun energy. Like we, as of present day, are the same exact vibe. If I met her 3 years ago, I don't think we'd be as close of friends. Yeah. Because I have grown so much, and I'm like, I am confident inside out today more, and I still have more to go, but it's like, I wasn't that way. I was like more reserved for a long time, just because I would dim my light out of fear.
To make other people comfortable.
Yes. But that's not a way to live either. Like at all. And that's where it's like, I'll try to be quick story.
No, you're fine.
We went to Henry's uncle's wedding this couple weeks ago, or I don't even know when, not long ago. And I've known his family now for 12 years. Knowing somebody for 12 years, like, you know them. Yeah, especially when it comes to like family and those sorts of things. Like we all know each other now. It's not like I'm new. You know, you become family too, especially. Like their family's really close. So every time we come to visit, we see them and all those sorts of things. So I'm comfortable with them. And I've also grown in my own self, into like as me, to be more confident in who I am. So at the wedding, like I was probably the most myself I've ever been around them. And I had so much fun, like, but I was like making probably more jokes that, like, you know, because that's when I'm comfortable with people, like giving people hard times, my love language, like, you know, it's just fun banter sometimes. And then and there was no issues. Let me be clear about that. Like,
no, we were not. It wasn't toxic banter.
No. But the next day, that's like when this is something my thing where like social settings, I will have a great time, and the next day I will overanalyze, overthink, and somehow make it into a negative experience when it wasn't. And I know that's an enemy attack because maybe there was something like I could have said, like there was a joke I think I said, and I can't remember who it was. No, if it ever became something, I would own it because it wasn't meant to be mean, but it was that joke of comfortability. And then I thought the next day, I was like, oh shoot, did that come out like, does
Like,
someone not
don't
know
like
me well
you.
enough
Yeah.
that was mean spirited? Because it was not. It was like a really light joke, and I
Meaning,
thought I was
like,
being
you've
funny.
Been in the
like,
you've been in the family for
Yeah.
over a
It's like when
decade.
your
Like you're no
sister
longer
tells you to do
kissing
something,
butt.
you're like,
Yeah.
eh.
Yes.
because it was one of those situations where I don't even remember. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it wasn't crucial. It was, I don't even know how to explain it, but it was a complete joke. And I remember it was not an important moment. And if it did hurt feelings, like I would own that and apologize so fast, like that's where it's like that security of being
Like
okay
who
to make
you are.
mistakes, being okay to say something wrong if you didn't mean it. Like, because I know that I make jokes like that when I'm comfortable with people, and it's not mean spirited. It's just like, that's what I think is funny. And if it wasn't funny to you, like, I'm so sorry. Like, it's not what I meant.
And like, it's okay if you tell me. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I won't do that one again. My bad.
Yeah. No, totally.
I was just excited.
I just thought it was funny. Maybe I'm not. It's literally how I felt. But anyways, it was just one of those moments where like, it was like the worst thing I did or said that night. And like, of course there's like I talk a lot like when I'm excited. So I was just like, did I say too much? Do they think this of me now? All these things, and just creating this narrative that wasn't even true.
Yeah.
And when I am in my neutral thinking mind, I can acknowledge that I am more confident and I am more comfortable around them. So I am more open and talkative and saying my
The
things.
guard,
And
you don't have a guard up
no,
anymore.
and I am also a person that gets deep fast. So sometimes we'll have like maybe other people aren't used to that, and to each their own. But that is something, if I ever said anything that offended somebody because I went too deep in a conversation or talked about things, I can own that too, because I know that that's part of me. Obviously
that's
I'm always
just
trying to do it in a kind way, but it's just how I talk. I don't do surface level conversations. So
and that's
like,
so funny is when you finally get to the point of acceptance of, no, it's not that I have to be everybody's cup of tea. That's when you finally get to that point of security in yourself, and that doesn't mean people aren't going to like you. That's not what it means.
Yeah.
It's just, no, we don't have to not like each other. We just have to, not everybody is the same vibe or built to be besties. And that's totally fine. We are all so special and unique that some personalities go with better personality or other personalities better. And that doesn't mean you aren't good enough. Like that, it's just neutral. It is what it is, as Grandma Sally would say. And so I completely agree in the sense that we all are just so unique that it is what it is.
It is what it is. But yeah, and it's just all of that, like learning and growing, and that's, I just think it's so important to understand yourself.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean I'm such a growth mindset person. That's where I was like fighting to even use the word accepting, because it's like, even your strengths, I'm always looking to refine myself. I will always take ownership if even if it's one of my gifts or something that is, I am who I am. I still care and have compassion and consideration towards other people, right? That's where it's, you can't operate from a place of out of fear to offend somebody. But of course, I'm also having consideration for everybody and not just saying whatever I think or want. There's an element
It's
of
not
that.
a get out of jail free card, but it's also not a live in fear element either.
Totally.
'Cause I think that there's almost sometimes it gets a little bit misconstrued where people are like,
'cause
I am
then
who I am.
That
And then you're like,
turns into pride. And I was even talking this out to Henry because I have such a hard time with the word proud, because I overthink it, and spiritually I feel like you shouldn't be proud, because then it becomes prideful, which then becomes arrogance, which then becomes ego, and all these things that end up, it can not be a good thing, right? which is why with all the good things that God has given you, it's why it's so important to honor him and give him the glory and not, I think it's important. And this is where obviously I say to my kids, I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
So that's where it's confusing, right? Because there's,
Yeah.
I understand that part of it. And I think you should be proud of yourself. But language and definitions, I just pick things apart, maybe too much. No. And it's more about being confident and secure versus being proud, right? Because and it's just how my mind works. So
no, I'm
with
along
me.
with the ride. Here we are.
It's like if I'm saying like, okay, let's say in conversation, I talk a lot. I'm somebody who goes deep quickly. That's just who I am. Like I'm proud of that. That's me. Then that is the forefront of how I'm about to operate, right? And prideful, and then that can be arrogant and egotistical, right? Or I could say, I know I talk a lot, I go deep fast, and I think that's a gift, right, that God has given me to connect to people. I also am aware that I could say something that maybe that person wasn't ready to hear. Right? Maybe I misread a situation and I said something that maybe did offend them. Like I have that awareness to know that that's could happen, right?
So you know what's funny is I've been doing this a lot lately. Now the first sentence that you said with proud in it, if you change the tone that you said that in, it could sound exactly like the second one. I am who I am, and I'm really proud of who I am. And I'm so grateful, and I'm proud to have that within me. Like, it's just the tone of which you believe it. Does that make sense? So
no,
you could say proud, and it just be the tone. It's all about heart posture. So it's literally like, because my mom was reading me text messages the other day. I hope she listens to this. She's reading text messages the other day. And I said, okay, stop. You've read like 6 of them. Stop. Now read it with a smile on your face. And she was like, what? I know how this person texts. And I was like, no. Read it with a smile on your face. And I want you to use the most loving tone you possibly can to read the same exact messages. And she's like, well, I don't want to do that. And I was like, yeah, because you want to keep the story that you've created in your head alive. Like that is the devil lying to you. You want to keep the story alive, and you refuse to like take into account that you're creating this. And so it all comes down to heart posture. Cause when you said it first time, I was like, oh my gosh, it's just the tone of which you hear the word proud. Cause it's just the heart posture behind it. Like, I'm really proud of myself for the fact that I trust in God now. But I don't think that makes me prideful. I think that still, it's just the heart posture behind it.
So with you. No, totally. I just, because like that's such an overthinking concept,
and it's okay.
For sure. It's just like such an active thought that I've been having too, because I think probably in my mind, it's like proud versus pride.
Yeah.
That's in my mind, like a bigger difference. Like, I think being proud's a good thing. Prideful can be a slippery slope.
Yeah. No, for sure. It's a sin. Like you are not supposed to be prideful.
Yeah. That's accurate,
but
it is so true.
But I also think it's fair to like be on edge, like when pride comes around. I think that that's a wise thing, and to understand what the seed of pride can plant, like the fruit that gets developed from whatever is getting sown. What is it going to bring? And pride is going to bring it. Literally, the scripture of pride comes before the fall. Like pride will always lead to a fall. And it's just, that's how it goes. You've never seen somebody who stays on top on cloud 9, even in like business. People that get too prideful always fall. Always. There's always something, whether it's, and you might be like, well, their business is still successful. Is their personal life? Is there salvation? It like really go through it. Like there's something that always falls, and God knows, And so I do think that it is very wise to stay vigilant and like on edge, staying away from pride, especially if you know, like, I don't know if this is actually necessarily applicable to you, but if you know that that could be an attack the enemy will go for with you, it's saying like, so like mine is the enemy will attack me with offense all the time. And I'll be like, ooh, why did I just offend me?
Oh,
go ahead.
Sorry, this just hit me. And I think though, even my like fear of being prideful and not wanting to be prideful, and I agree with that wholeheartedly. However, the enemy can like twist that and then not make me proud of myself. Like what you were saying, like that's such a good full circle moment, because it's just everything's situational, and that's why we have discernment, and that's why we have these things, and same with like not dimming your light, but also not being like say whatever you want, you know, like it's everything.
It's the enemy
So
will almost tell you to stop being prideful so you could stop celebrating the victories with him. Like,
But you're right. Heart posture is really like the secret
The
sauce
root of
within
it.
all of that, because you're right. Like you can be proud of yourself. I'm like talking to myself.
Where you're proud of yourself, like the enemy will tell you to stop being proud of yourself. Oh, stay away from pride. You're being proud. You're being proud. You're being proud. And it will be an attempt to steal joy. Because when you're proud, like where you're like, wow, I really am doing this, God, that's joy.
Yes.
And he comes to steal your freaking joy. It makes me think of, this was an attack I had for like a year and a half. And I think I told you this about 2 years ago, maybe 3, good gracious. I kept having, like, I've always wanted to preach the word. That's just what it is. And I've always, the Lord gave me a vision, and it was of me sharing the gospel to like on a stage of sorts. And now that's not because I need the recognition by any means. And I know that it's not, I don't want that. But I would be at church and just praying, God, let your will be done. This isn't about me. This is about you. You'll do what you're going to do. You'll give me a stage, or you'll either make it come to life, or you'll make that go away in my heart. Like I trust you. And the enemy stole that and literally twisted it and contorted it to where I was like, okay, I'm not going to say anything at all. And it made me apprehensive to even do the podcast for a bit, because I was like, nope, is this about me wanting stage time? Is this about me wanting a platform to share? Is this about me wanting to be heard? Is this about me? And it made me, we talked about this podcast for years. And that was one of the things that just made me like standoffish towards it, about, okay, God, like, I don't want this to be about me. And then God finally was just like, the fact that you're not doing it is making it about you.
So
like,
true.
That's the problem. And so where you'll have like, God will be trying to give you joy and love. And that's where the enemy will come into religion and be like, you're being too XYZ. But then that stops you from receiving the love of Christ, like, or doing the assignment, because you're so worried about doing it right. You're so worried about like, it's just this obsession with doing it right that you then don't take the steps. And it's like, gosh, if you have a toddler or a baby, 1-year-old, I don't know how old if you call that a baby, that wants to take their first steps, and they're so worried about doing it right and walking like a model catwalk, they'll never walk.
Never walk. Yeah.
That's
so true.
like, it just will never happen. And so I want to remind everybody, including you, that like in the attempt to be perfect for God, like, and do it exactly the way God wants you to do it, and that I need to, like, you'll never move. You'll never walk in his, like, the disciples didn't have to understand. God gave them a word immediately, and they're like, yep, that's why delayed obedience is still disobedience, because if you wait, I'm going to hear more, God. I need to hear more before you do this. When he says to do something, you're supposed to do it immediately. That way the confusion doesn't have time to set in. That's the justification and all the XYZ, you know? You're supposed to move when he says move, so that all the next crap is like, nah, I know I hear God correctly. Like, all those other voices can get lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good. So true.
And now we have gotten completely away from offense.
Sounds like a great conversation to me.
One of the things I kind of wanted to mention is There's a couple scriptures because we need to bring the actual word into it. Colossians 3:13 says, make allowance for each other's faults and forgive anyone who offends you. Remember, the Lord forgave you, so you must forgive others. And another one that was really good, Luke 17:1, it is impossible that no offenses should come, but woe to him whom they do come. And essentially they're saying offenses are unavoidable, but we are warned not to be the source of them. So while we're talking about taking offense this whole episode, there's also an element of this where it's like, we have to make sure that we are on edge of like, just because we are confident in who we are and like we are goofy and we are ourselves, like we have to be careful and conscious and sensitive to other people's hearts. Mm-hmm. And there is that element of it. And that's where it's like, Lord, show me if I hurt somebody. Tell me and give them safety to come to me to tell me also. And I think that that's wise too, Katrina, where you're like, man, I'm really sure of myself. And like, I also can own when I do make a mistake and I can forgive and ask for forgiveness. And then Proverbs 19:11, a person's wisdom yields patience. It is to one's glory to overlook an offense. And so letting go of the offenses and overlooking them, and just like you started this whole episode with of, man, you've probably got a lot going on. Like you really do. I can see that your life is lifing and you didn't mean what you just said about me. Like, yikes.
You want to know what's the worst though?
Yeah.
When someone takes offense. Right? Like, okay, we'll say husband.
And then you're offended, they take offense?
Yes. and then it's the worst. It's the worst.
Ooh, that's so funny.
The worst. And I just think it happens a lot.
Just feel like this like revolving crazy cycle.
And I think it happens quickest with husband and wife because you're just with each other all the time. And it's really easy to get offended by something accidentally or depending, we just talked a whole podcast about it. It's so very easy to do. And it's funny because when the other person's in a good headspace, then it's easy because then that person sees it for what it is.
Yeah,
okay,
like
I see what you
Heisman.
need. Yeah, I'll just give you your space, or I'll eat this one. I'll take it on the chin.
Yep.
And let you have your moment. Like that's
Yep.
what relationships are about. But when they hit you on the chin and it really strikes a chord within you, recipe for disaster.
Yeah. No, it is. And that's it's honestly, and then those arguments are, you feel even dumber.
They're so stupid.
They're
and you're not
like
even
from the outside looking in.
You are not arguing about what you started with at all. Ever.
Nope.
Like when you both take offense to something, the argument is not what you started with.
Oh my gosh. This is like my sister and I, we got into a disagreement. She doesn't listen to the podcast. And it's my business, so I'm going to share it. So we got into a disagreement. We were texting back and forth, and she essentially has said, like, don't talk to this person about my business. And I was like, I haven't. I'm offended you think I would. And then okay, it was my mom. Don't talk to me.
That was the easiest fill in the blank I've ever heard.
I was trying to be discreet, and then I was like, oh God, here we are.
But I mean, that one makes the most sense.
Yes.
Like,
don't talk to mom about what I have going on. And I was like, I'm not dumb. I love my mother, but I'm not stupid. I have not. And then I asked my mom, wait, what is going on? Where is the triangle getting formed? What is going on? And then she told me that they were talking about me. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Can everybody just stop talking to me about, no, I'm just kidding.
I was so offended, but then I called my sister and we were on the phone and we weren't fighting, but we were very annoyed with each other. And I was like, you can't tell me not to talk about you. And then when I go to figure out where that came from, then I found out you were talking about me and she knew things I only told you. And she was like, and it was the whole conversation was an hour of us being annoyed with each other, offended with each other, frustrated with each other. And we weren't even arguing about what we started the argument with about. And honest to goodness, Alexis was listening. He walked away. He was like, this poor man was on the phone with my mom preaching the word of God to her. He had his Bible out and all. He was going in.
It's like, I'm taking this phone away. She is exiting the conversation. You two?
Yes.
You two can figure
He's
it
on the
out.
phone with my mom preaching the word of
I can only
God.
handle one at a time.
Yeah.
You're
One of
next.
you women.
Then you.
And then he walks out an hour later, and I'm still on the phone with my sister. We weren't fighting, but there was like very much so. It was like, well, this happened and this, and it literally, all of it stemmed from offense. And I was like, Ashley, like, why are we even arguing about this? It's the devil. Like, and I'm like, our facts are not, or I said, our feelings are not fact. I'm offended with you and you're offended with me and none of it matters.
But it's so hard because I think we're similar in the sense of, although that whole thing probably should have taken the break. I am such
I'm
a
gonna
person
handle
of
it right
resolve.
now.
No, we are not getting off this phone until we figure it out. Whatever that means, I don't know what the end is going to be, but we are going to get off this phone happy. Do you believe it?
No, and we got off the phone exhausted. We were both like, and I literally was like, okay. And she just finally was like, I'm sorry for, and she apologized. And I was like, and I'm sorry if I just preached at you a little bit too hard.
So good.
And it's just so funny because when the outside looking in, Lex was just like, how did we get all the way there? And I was like, I don't even know. But also where offense will come in is it will forget that you ever forgave. Offense, when you know you're offended, it will bring up past resolved hurts that you there was already reconciliation and forgiveness and fellowship since you've already been good. But when offense comes up, old unforgiveness, well, it will have been already something you forgave and let go, but where offense comes up, things that you already forgave will become unforgiven again in your mind, where you're like, wait, I really did let that go. Why did I just say that? Like, that wasn't even a real thing. I've already forgiven that. Like, I'm not even really mad about
especially
it.
when it's a loved one, a family member, son, daughter, whatever, husband, wife. It's like, you find, like, you know them so well.
Yes.
So unfortunately, sometimes it can feel like they always do this.
Yeah.
But yet we also have the opportunity to lean with compassion and be like, I do know that they're like this and they're trying. Like, you know, it's like, it's not that surprising that they did it again. But like, I know that they're trying and they're, it's
Dude,
like
I'm
all
not
of
even
us.
like, after all of it, I started laughing and I was like, I'm not even mad at Mom. And Ashley's like, my sister's Ashley. She's like, well, why not? And I was like, cause I know her. Like, I'm not mad. I'm not stupid either. Like, I'm not mad.
I'm
It is what
aware.
it is. I am very aware.
I pray for her.
Yeah. And she's like, well, why can you still do it? And I said, because I have the grace to give right now, apparently.
Yeah.
Like, I do. And I was like, and apparently you don't. So maybe you should take a step back. Like, it is what it is to me. I am in that neutral with that relationship. And it's, so it's just, I find that kind of comical in general. I'm like, our family deserves a reality TV show. It would be really unhealthy, but make good TV.
Make you really secure in yourself.
I would be the annoying one in the group where they'd be like, can she just stop being positive? Get her off the
I love
show.
that for you.
She's annoying.
Well, that is a show I would love to watch. So let me know. Are we on Netflix or
No, we're going to be in Tubi.
Star? No, just kidding. Yeah, I don't even know if Star exists.
Oh, gosh.
Freebie? Just kidding.
Oh, my gosh. Well, yeah. Well, I surely hope that everyone got something good out of this. I know that we're about to wrap up, so.
Yes, and although our conversation takes detours, I think it had some really good substance in there, and it flowed accordingly,
Yeah.
All these concepts and topics really like intertwine with each other, and so I thought this one, when we first talked about doing it, I was like, oh my gosh, that just encompasses, like, to not take offense. It's a load of forgiveness and a load of understanding that everybody's going through something.
Yeah. It's
like,
with the cause and effect. So, like, we've talked about what to do after, but it's like, what causes you to need forgiveness? Okay.
Yeah.
The offense, it all stems from being offended, being hurt. And it all is in the root of that.
completely. So
Yeah.
you want to pray us out?
Yes, I can.
Thanks.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for today. Thank you for just this podcast and what it stands for and who I get to do it with, God. Thank you for every one of our listeners, God. I just pray that as they listen to this today and that they heard it, God, that they can just become fully aware of the work that is being done in them through you, God. Fully aware of those hurts and those triggers and just the things that can cause offense, that they become aware of the attack from the enemy, God. And not that they glorify it, but that they can laugh and say, Jesus, come. And that the only thing that can solve it is the name of Jesus, is you and who you are, God. We just thank you. I thank you for a testimony, God. I thank you for every one of our listeners, every single thing that they've ever been through, that it is going to be glorified in your name, that it is going to be used for the kingdom. It's going to be used to just bring people closer to you and bring them closer to you, God. I just pray over every one of their hurts, God, and every one of their hearts, that as they listen today, that offense will be gone, that anything that we say, offense is gone. Anything that anybody says, I just ask that I cover them this week, that every single day, that there is a renewed strength in them and a renewed canopy over them, and just plead the blood of Jesus over them, that they can feel what a week feels like with just peace and being aware of, oh my gosh, I think I'm a little offended right now, God, and that it can bring them closer to you, and that they just get to see the fullness of a life with joy. And you just paralyze the attack of the enemy, just paralyze it and just bind it, God. We love you, and we pray just all of this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
All right, y'all.
Yes. So maybe next week I'll have my voice, but
Maybe not.
You don't need a voice when you got the word.
Oh, Lord.
All right, it's time to, we gotta go. Like, share, subscribe.
All right, y'all. Love you.
We'll see you. Bye.
Bye.